Haha. I keep going back and forth, going, this is going to work. This is not going to work. This is going to work. This is not going to work. Hello and welcome to or back to Miss Crafts Lair. I am Barbie. I'm a multi-crafter, but I generally do crochet, knit, and sewing. Um, Place that I just kind of hang out and do my crafty stuff and bring you along for the ride. So if that is something you are interested in, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications, and let's get to this video. Now, if you have watched my other videos, you would know that I picked I picked 4 of these up from Ollie's. I have an Ollie's store about 45 minutes to an hour away from me. Was able to talk my husband into going down there because I found that I had found a post on Facebook saying that these were on sale. So, I got him to go down there for me, with me, take me down there. And so I picked up a total of 4 of these. I had allotted myself $20, not including tax, which I stuck to, saying I got these for $4.99 a cake. I have just a disclaimer. I have never used Bernat Blanket yarn before, so I don't know how far it's going to get me. It is 220 yards. I wanted to admit that 0. But this is 220 yards or 201 meters. Like I said, I'm not sure how long it will get me, but I have a plan. So I want to see how far, and we'll find this out in this video. My idea was for the 4 of these that I would start off with a corner to corner blanket, because in my thinking, I will again see if this is how it goes. But in my thinking, if saying I have 4 of them, if I crochet to the end of the second one, so in corner to corner, if I crochet 2 of these into a triangle, the other 2 therefore should work the rest of the returning triangle in order to make a corner to corner blanket. I have just shortly after I got these, because I've had these kind of a month or 2, shortly after I got them, I marked each one with a number. So here's 1, here's 2, 3, and 4, because I went ahead and picked the ones that seemed like they were going in order, so I can just finish off one and start the next. Oh, excuse me. Start the next. Now is the time we get to see if my thinking is going to be correct. Lighting today is like really weird. I'm up in my living room. We're not talking about this disaster that is behind me here. We're gonna pretend that does not exist. The lighting is kind of crazy because we have blue skies and really dark clouds. It wants to storm here today, but it is just not getting around to it. Doing this video here in my living room just because of the fact that I'm just going to be a little bit more comfortable than working at my desk for this, because we've already done the corner to corner tutorial So this is just me testing this out. This is considered a super bulky yarn, and it calls for an 8mm or size US L11 crochet hook. So I have my tin of ergonomic hooks here. I have a Twix one downstairs that is all of my regular non-ergonomic hooks. But I have my tin of ergonomic hooks, and I think this is J, K, and L. So we're gonna start off with the L, see if I like it. Also gonna see how well this yarn likes to frog up, because, like I said, I've never worked with this yarn before. So that is the Bernat Blanket using the L crochet hook. Come on. Not sure if I like that, how tight that is. I'm normally size down my hook. So I'm gonna go with the K. Try the K. So far, that is what it looks like in the K hook. I'm liking how close those stitches are together. Come on, focus, focus. There we go. I'm liking how that looks. So I'm going to continue on with the K. And there we are. There's the right side. There we are with 2 rows done. I have about 2.5 hours to work on this and get some dinner. So yeah, I'm going to continue working here. This is how far I've gotten so far. I have been working for about a half an hour, maybe an hour. And I am now, I don't know if you can really tell that well due to the lighting. That and this is kind of like hard to see anyway. But I started off with one color and I switched to another, like a slight shade darker. Let me see here. Might be able to see. Go this way. Go up. There we go. So we had this shade of yellow to about here and a little bit more orangey of a yellow up here. I am just at the end of row 11 and I am starting a darker brown. So yeah, I have this much of the first skein, first ball, first cake. It's more of a cake. I have this much of the cake left. And then I am going to keep on going. I'm going to have dinner, and then I have game night. I will work on some more of this. I have game night with my online friends, and then I will be back to this again. So I will check in again real quick before game time and show you where I'm at. Day 2. It is miserable outside. The birds are chirping, though. It must be in between like rainstorms. It wants to be dark, dreary, and disgusting outside. Perfect day to spend reading books and finishing my, or at least working on, if not finishing, my project. So I left off last night, as I said I was going to. I finished off, let me put the hook back in there. I just finished off these last few stitches, last few blocks, and then I called it a night. I played games with my friends. shout out to them if they should happen to be watching this, because boy, did they put up with my antics. For some reason, I thought that I was skilled enough to be able to film some of the game last night. And every time I tried, it crashed my game to the point where I had to ask for the leader of the group to send me the link to get back into our game that we had in progress like 4 or 5 times in order for me to get back to my position. Luckily, every time that I did crash out, my game was at a point where we were playing peak. So it was at that point in time where I like fell off a cliff and turned into the little floaty ghosty thing. So it wasn't that I was able to miss out on any real gameplay. It was just I felt horrible that I kept saying, "Hey, I crashed my game. Please send me a link." So, to that, I just want to say, you're amazing, and I'm not dropping any names, but you know who you are, and thank you so much. I apologize, and it should not happen again. After we went through everything and looked into my system, my son, yay, helped me figure out what was going wrong on my computer and workaround. So hopefully, maybe tonight while we play games, I will not crash the game out, and I'll be able to get some game footage for you guys. So we'll see. That being that part being taken care of, I do have to say that it is right now just before 11 a.m. I woke up this morning, made myself my coffee, sat down to finish reading a library book that I got. I fully utilize the library. I will totally admit that, which I mean, I think is for me is a good decision. I would much rather buy yarn than books. I still like to do my reading here and there, but it's not like I'm forever with my nose in a book. However, that being said, I did there was one book, I will show that one first. This book was what got me to go onto the library website. I had seen this block right here on my Pinterest, when I was looking around on Pinterest for different crafty ideas. I did find this block, which then got me to find the name of the book. Um, so on the end of the Pinterest page, it shows the block or the page that that block is on. So I was able to see at the bottom of the screen what book it was from. I put a a hold. It's an H, so it's not gonna. If I was speaking Irish, maybe in the Irish accent. Anyway, I put a hold on this book so then that way I could find out. And what I was fully intending was um, finding the measurements that I would need for the fabrics to make this block. Had to wait an absurd amount of time for this book to come in. It took about 4 weeks for it to circulate my way. There was even floating about saying that it was going to take up to 42 days for me to get the book. So we are part of a group of libraries that share books with each other, and I was the third person out for receiving this book on hold. And of course, we were able to keep our books for 3 weeks. So it looked absurd as far as the timing. They were thinking that it was going to take like 42 days for me to get the book. So I had even floated the idea of, well, if it's going to take that long, I might as well just suck it up and buy the book, so that it's in my hands faster. Hindsight, probably should have just done that because I was thinking in my brain that this book was going to have measurements for your blocks, and it does not. Anybody who is familiar with paper piecing for sewing blocks, this is more kind of a paper piecing thing, but not a paper piecing thing. So it shows you the block and the amount of, because I would totally show it, but I don't want to give that away. But it has the block, and then it just shows the um where you would sew a new one on, almost the next piece of fabric. So it's interesting in that respect. Also, though, that means that it's a lot of either parchment paper or tracing paper used in order to make the black, which then got me going, wait, if that's the way it looks, I kind of need to have the book in my library. So I did have my husband order this for me. Hopefully, it will be here in like the next week or so. But at least getting the book in my hands has made me realize that I need to buy this book because there are so like so these are some of the other blocks over here. There we go. These are some of the other blocks that are in this book, and they are so freaking adorable. The next book popped up. Now, I will totally start off by saying that I will, for one of those rare times, throw up trigger warnings. So, trigger warning for this book. Um, I would label it as childhood trauma. I would label it as possibly a very, 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 depending on how you look at the chapter, a very small bit of SA, potential, definitely ED, and definitely um working through that. So that's your warning. If you do not want to, I'm not going to delve deep into the topics. I'm just throwing up that those warnings just so that way if you are, I will give you the timestamp here as to not even look at this book title. So I will just throw that out there. This is by Jeanette McCurdy. I will also say that, so then that way you sort of, if you know the story, Jeanette's story, then you know what I'm going to be, what it focuses on. So, okay, I gave you the chance. If you're still here, then I'm going to continue with this, but you have been warned. Okay. So this is the book that I saw while I was looking for the scrap blocks, and I'm like, you know what? That looks like an interesting title to me because there is some history. It was a very eye-catching title to me. So I'm like, I'm waiting for this other book to come in. This gives me something else, like something to read, and I haven't really done any heavy reading for probably 6 months. I just focus on my crafts and I do watch a lot of crime documentaries and missing person stuff and that kind of stuff on YouTube and on my streaming services. So, with that, I really don't do a lot of like memoir reading. I do more memoir watching. So, this though, was quite the page turner. I started reading it. I read a few pages, but it was getting late, had to put it down. The next day, I read about a third of the book. The following day, I I counted that I had like 50 pages left of the book to read. So and it's a 304-page book, if that tells you anything. Um, 304 page, 304. I don't know. I throw the and in there. It's the way I do it. But I within a span of like 3 days. So this morning, with having 40 pages left to read in the book, 50 pages, I read through 10, and I had pointed it out that I had 40 pages left to read in the book. Um, Finished this up this morning, so this gets to go back to the library and get passed on to the next person in line because this is another one that I think is having a lot of holds put on it. Um, so I don't want to keep those any longer than I necessarily have to. Our library is closed on Sundays. Sunday's coming up, so it is not, or weekends are kind of funky for my library, but Sunday, I'm not gonna drop it off in the Dropbox on Sunday. I have like this whole thing about that, but that is definitely going to go back to the library Monday morning, or Monday afternoon, somewhere in there. It's gonna get back so that way I can get to the next person because that was actually an amazing read. Um, Also, kudos, Jeanette. I think you're from the way the book ended. Yeah. Um, so with that, I am going to get back to my crochet, and I just hit my mic, but I'm going to get back to my crochet. I have a couple of things that I want to toss up on the TV to watch while I am working, and I will meet you back when I get this first cake done. So I have gotten done with the first of the four Bernat blankets. I've gotten this far. Something that I did not mention yesterday or earlier today was I did find another knot in this yarn. Where did it go? It's right at the it would be in right over here. So it is right in the I would call it the chicken nugget color. Cause it y'all, I was making this just like right before dinner, and it's not showing up very well on camera, I don't think. Maybe it is, but this particular color, I'm hungry, and this particular color popped up, and it looks to me like chicken nuggets. So yeah, so I kind of got a little bit more hungry, but oh well. Um, the knot came in right at the color change, right there. So that was kind of blah, but I have this little tail left, and I wanted to show you the tail because when I was going in and setting up what was going to be my next color, I did choose this one. There is it looks like a little slight spot where it's going to go back to that orange color. However, I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem, saying that here and there in the lighter colors, I did keep finding some spots of red. Um, let's see if I can find that. I have worked so much of it, and the way that it works up, it is so fluffy. But like in this spot, I don't know if you can tell, if you can see that, but there is just a little bit of the darker color in the lighter ones. So I don't think that that's going to be too much of a problem. Kind of doing a little bit of this color orange before we get back into the yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and join this. I'm on the wrong side first. The first, am I on the wrong side? I'm on the wrong side. So the first skein or first cake of this yarn, 25 and a half, I think, rows. Let me count this side. Yeah, about 24 and a half rows. So I think that this could be a pretty good size blanket when we're all said and done. But let me work up this second. Does have a 2 on there. Does have a 2. Let me work up this second cake of this yarn, and I will be back for another show of what I have. So I have this much left of the second skein. I'm at the end of a row. I'm at the end of row 34, I want to say it is. By my math, a ball or a cake of this yarn can get me about 300 blocks. So, about 300 blocks of this particular pattern to do this. I'm wondering if this might be enough. Even if it gets me to like over halfway across this row, the next row is going to be a decrease for sure. So I'm thinking if this can get me through half of this row that I'm going to start now. The sun's trying to come out. If this can get me through half of this row, I should be okay, and I should be able to have enough to finish the blanket the way I'm intending to finish the blanket. If that makes sense. Y'all, it's been a day. This weather is like, it brightened up from what it was this morning. Yeah, the sun is trying to come out, but also the clouds are trying to like still take over. So, and oh boy, is the corn sweat real out there right now. It's not even funny. Anywho, I'm gonna get back to work. We'll see if this gets me the entire row or not, and I'll be back here in just a little bit. I have finished more than half of this row, so I think it is safe to start the third ball, or the third cake. This is where I'm going to start. This is my last increased row, and everything else is going to be decreased rows. Hopefully this is going to work. This could end up being like the biggest game of yarn chicken ever. But I am confident in my math. I am confident in their making of their cakes that I should now, theoretically, have enough yarn to work back the other way to finish the square. So, yeah, I'm going to start this one, and I will meet you back at the end of this one and show you cake 4. But real fast, before I finish cake 4, we know it's probably going to go into tomorrow. We are looking at it being about 20 after 5 right now. The sun has come out. We're having another game night tonight at 7. So we're also looking at this being about an hour and a half more for me to crochet away. So I will come back. I will take that back. I will come back instead of when I'm going on to ball or cake 4. I will come back just before I am going to be getting online for games to show you where I got 2. That's all. Kitchen noises, but we're all good. Going nicely. I have this much left of number 3. So this is it for today, I think. I will come back to it tomorrow morning. So last night I did my gaming. We did have some issues. The leader this time had the issues of the game that we chose crashing on his system. So we ended up they ended up going to a game. We started off with a game that I had, ended up switching to a game that I don't have, but that is fine. I keep telling them, hey, look, I have 2 out of the 3 games you guys play. Don't choose one of those 2 games just because I have it, because I am good with spectating if y'all will allow me to spectate. Or I'll just go find myself something else to do. Don't pick a game just on my account. I'm fine with that. We're good. So they went to a game that I don't have. I was spectating, and while spectating, I was also doing some self-care stuff because hello, need to do some self-care stuff. So that of course included the whole like wash off war paint that is the charcoal mask. Did that and all that jazz. The only thing I didn't do in the last like 24 hours for self-care is I haven't covered the wisdom sprinkles yet. That is going to come during a time when our heat index is not going to be like in the lower hundreds because no. Um so that being said, saying that I was doing that and spectating, I did end up finishing the 3rd ball. This is actually getting huge. So I'm actually really surprised by the size that I am getting. I was not, for some reason, so y'all know, I have not used this yarn before, so I did not know what to expect as far as how many yards or how far a yard would get me. So when I started doing the math and realizing that 300 blocks from one skein, that's less than a yard a block. So, which with this kind of yarn kind of surprises me, not gonna lie. So I am now on to the 4th and final cake for this yarn. I am going to work that up. Hopefully have this done tonight so I can show you what it looks like. I did end up taking a little bit of a break though, because I did notice that my beloved hibiscus plants is bittersweet because they are now forming flower buds. Bittersweet because that means that we're getting closer to the end of summer and I'm not ready for the end of summer yet. But in the same respect, I want to pull out my sweaters and my sweatshirts and just not be sweating to death because oh my goodness, has it been hot like this entire summer. It has been upper 80s, lower 90s with heat indexes of crazy. And so and I'm a Midwest girl in the Midwest. This is the Midwest. And we're, like I said, we're dealing with corn sweat. But still, oh my goodness, I am so ready for cool weather. I want to be able to sit outside. Sit outside. I want to be able to enjoy my yard and stuff in nice weather and not have to worry about it being so hot. I am in cougar puberty and this woman does not want to sweat any more than she has to. Just enough said. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to finish off this cake and this blanket and we will see how much I have left over. First off, it is done. Second off, I was bouncing between, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? And I decided that since I had originally did a row 35, that was going to be the last increase. I decided that that was going to be, I was thinking, looking at everything and how often color changes and everything, I thought that wasn't going to work. So I did tear out and I went to it. So then that way 34 was the increase row, or last 34 was the last increase row. That being said, I don't think I needed to worry because I think I have plenty of yarn to have done 35 and then worked back. It is done. It measures about 44 inches by 44 inches. It's a good sized blanket. I liked how the colors worked up. Discontinued colorway, by the way. So if this is a colorway that you were excited about, I don't know how readily you're going to be able to find it. But this is my first time working with a blanket yarn. This is the first time trying to figure out if my idea would have worked. Saying that I did get through that half of 30 of the row 35, or over half of it, I think I probably could have stood to leave it. But I was looking at yarn and I'm like, this is not going to work. And I was bouncing back and forth between, this is going to work, this is not going to work. And I let my anxiety get the best of me. But I would definitely say that would be something to do if you only had a certain amount of yarn and you wanted to make something like that. I think the corner to corner is probably going to be your best bet, is to figure out how much, and to know that you're going to be able to finish a project. It may not be the exact size, and you may not know how big it will be when it was done. However, I think that working unknown amount of yarn or a small amount of yarn in corner to corner is a way to guarantee a full done project without having to run out and get more yarn to finish it, or to have way too much yarn left over. I don't think I'm going to be ripping this out to work that in. That's just, I don't think that's going to happen. So with that, I hope that this inspired you to try something new. And I mean, yeah, if you are not yet subscribed, please like, share, and subscribe. Look, you've made it through to the end of this video, so you have to have enjoyed it somehow, right? Or you fell asleep. I mean, maybe, could be. Wake up! All right. So until next time, I hope that you have a very crafty time and bye. Oh, dude, I still have Rachel going on in the background. Hold on, Rachel. I love you, but you're gonna have to hold on a second. Okay, thank you. Mwah. All right.